have Deanna King on the show today. She is a soul path astrologer. She also has you have a book coming out, right?
I have a book that actually was published in 2023.
Okay. All right. So tell us, what is a soul path astrologer?
So, soul path astrology for me is a way of looking at the chart to be able to see the trajectory of what this person, what their soul was chosen to look at this lifetime, which would mean it shows us where they actually came from, all their gifts and talents, maybe some of their bad habits, and then it shows us where they actually want to be heading in this lifetime, the theme or the area that their soul is wanting to gain some experience. So to me, that's the soul path. And I just kind of help people get back into the GPS of the right path so that they're not like wavering around and wasting time in places that they don't necessarily need to be.
Right. That I think we all can resonate with that, especially, I mean, I could speak for myself in that category. So how does one go about? Is it looking at the birth chart?
I do look at the natal chart and I use Placidus and tropical methods. And you can get a natal chart reading anywhere. And so I decided to kind of hone in my niche to the soul path version. But I also, of course, have to discuss if someone's brand new to astrology, I kind of have to point out here's your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, and this is the qualities that you were born with. And here, then I go to look at the parts that this is where you're coming from, all those things that come really easy for you is something you already did. And then that area that scares the crap out of you, that's like actually where you need to head. And, point out all the strengths they have to support them to get there. Because if we are scared of it, it's like we're just going to say no. But, we can pull in friends and peers. We can pull in coaches. We can pull in I love affirmation because they remind me how smart I am. Like I can do this. I've succeeded on XYZ before, so I know I can, put my initiative there and come through it. It's not like it's the first time I've ever tried anything new, right? So I just
Mhm.
kind of point out all the good, yummy stuff in the chart because so often we focus on the negativity.
Oh,
I do want to say that Mercury just entered Pisces, I want to say 2 days ago from this recording. And it has been interesting. Mercury rules our mind and our communication, which would also be this kind of format. So it's kind of
mhm.
in this wishy washy, dissolvey kind of energy of Pisces. And so, anyway, just bringing that up.
Gotcha. Okay. So what what does that look like, and how does it affect us? Like, what kind of energy is Mercury in Pisces?
Mercury in Pisces is a little bit less logical and more interested in, like, say, writing poetry or expressing the feelings of the heart with words. Right? It's those kind of hidden realms. But Mercury rules our communication, so it could be our thoughts. It could also be the way we're talking to people. We might be more interested in having deeper conversations with people rather than superficial.
Okay, so like more creative thinking rather than logical thinking?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a transit. So that's only going to be for about a month that Mercury will be in Pisces. Well, I have to take that back because Mercury's actually going to go retrograde. Um, in about 4 weeks, it's going to go retrograde, and then it's going to go back into Pisces and then over back into Aries. Anyway, so we will have it in Pisces for longer than a month just because of the retrograde.
Okay. So in the retrograde, does that just mean the opposite of the energy when it's direct
Well,
or whatever?
generally, the purpose of the retrograde is to have us kind of go over, depends on the planet that's retrograding, but to go over that area of life that that planet rules or governs or controls. So Mercury, for example, if we're when it's going forward, we're kind of spread in the outward expression of communication. So when it's going retrograde, we're doing a lot of inner reflection. inward. Coming in,
Mm.
it's the yin, right? So
Versus outward.
yeah, we're coming back in. So it might be, let's just say you were writing a book and you're actively writing, 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 everything's flowing and you're getting it through. Well, then if Mercury goes retrograde, it might be, gosh, I think I'm going to reread and edit everything and digest it all again. And then when it goes direct, you would be inspired to rewrite it or to change some things, right? Because you've just done all this
Mhm.
introspection and relooking. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So when you're helping someone discover their soul path, um, the soul path is like, as you were describing, correct me if I'm wrong, the things that they wanted to experience or learn about in this particular incarnation.
Yes, that's a
Um,
good explanation.
yeah, can you give us like some examples of like what that might be? Like
Well,
what
I'll just use myself because I know me the best, and
all right.
I think I know me. I'm always learning, but my so when we're looking at the soul path, we're looking at the nodes of the moon. It's called the south node and the north node. Some people call them the dragon's head or the dragon tail. And my south node is, which is where I'm coming from. That's the past, right? Is the south node is in the sign of Sagittarius, but it's also in the theme of my home, my upbringing, my home, and my the area that's ruled by the moon and Cancer, which would be sort of that nurturing place, governs the hearth, the kitchen, the domestic duties, taking care of kids, that inner security place. So it's kind of a morph of that, but that's where I came from. And Sagittarius is a sign that's really optimistic and broad thinking and doesn't narrow down into the small details. It's just so big. It's thinking about all the big stuff. So how that would kind of equate, since that's my south node, is I probably lived in a very large home environment. In my mind, I kind of resonate with like a castle kind of feeling. And I might have been like a wise teacher, because of that broad thinking within that home environment where I maybe helped everybody on their whatever their thing was, right? So that
You
could
mean in
be
a past carnation?
in a past carnation, right?
Okay.
And Sagittarius also rules broad travel. Like I might have traveled globally, right, in
Mm.
a past incarnation. And this time, my north node, which is where my soul wants to go, is in the opposite sign of Gemini, and it happens to be in my area of my chart, the 10th house, which rules career. So last time I was working on my home environment, and this time I'm working on my career environment, if that makes sense. And those are opposite poles. And it's in Gemini, which is communication ruled by Mercury, but it's small detail learning and sharing information with lots of people, where Sagittarius is kind of more independent and doesn't need anybody. So now I'm being challenged in this life to force myself to network. I'm like a natural hermit, so it's kind of hard for me to take these extra initiative steps to reach out and network with people. Um, and I'm the kind of person that like goes to bed at 9 o'clock at night, but like if there's a big social thing going on, it's hard for me to get out. So I have to kind of force myself to get out and do those social things. That's where my soul is wanting to expand. And it wants me also to do more broad, like online um, communication. And the reason I say that is because I have Jupiter in Gemini, which is that big, broad thinking planet. So that adds a third wheel to the whole thing. Not only do I have my north node and it's all in the career house, but then I have Jupiter there, so it means that it's a worldwide communication. It's not just my neighborhood, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
so when I was kind of looking at all of that, I thought, oh, I can be a writer because that's Gemini. I can be, a podcaster. I can talk with people. But because I have this south node of nurturing, my true passion is like coaching people and helping them move forward to feel secure in their body, right? Does that
Hmm.
make sense?
Yes. Sorry. Honey, mommy is doing a podcast. The cat's like, did you hear her meowing?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
She was saying, "Yep."
She's just sitting there like, what are you doing? Get up. Okay. Um, so we looked at my birth chart last time we tried to before we had technical difficulties last time. Um, refresh my memory. Did you see what my soul path was, for example?
I'm trying to remember in my mind's eye. I know that you had Mars conjunct your north node, and I'm trying to remember if it was maybe in Aquarius. Does that sound right? Or Aries?
Yeah, so there was something about Aquarius. I
Okay,
can pull it up
Aquarius.
again.
Yeah. So, to me, Aquarius is the sign that rules our future, where we're going as a humanity. Like all the inventions we're bringing in, how are we going to come together collectively to really save the planet and to, revamp the toxic sickness thing that's going on with the governments and money and hierarchy and blah blah blah. So Aquarius is this really forward thinking energy, and anybody who has has like a stimulation in Aquarius, whether it's their sun sign, their moon sign, they generally are inspired to not go with the flow, to not go with the crowd. They want to bring in new ways of being. It's a little bit of a rebel energy because they want to
Hmm.
be different, right? And so Mars is your planet of action, and it does rule the body and that inner instinct that takes action without thinking. There's no logic generally when you're acting off of instinct, right? You're not stopping to think, you're just go. And that's kind of that Mars energy. And so, what it tells me is that your soul came in to assist the ascension process, the evolution of humanity and the planet and where we're going, because that's Aquarius. And you're here to take some kind of action. It's not about thinking, because it's action with Mars. You might be the symbol of a warrior, a warrioress, a woman who is taking certain steps and actions outside of the crowd, doing your own authentic thing that people admire and follow. Because it's just like a very strong soldier warrior, people will follow that person, right? They see them kind of as a leader and a path maker, right?
Yes. That sounds exactly like me. Exactly. Like I've always had that like warrior feeling. I've told people so many times, I'm like, I can feel this like battle cry, like right in here, like like a Viking shield maiden or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so the opposite sign of Aquarius is Leo, which is also a very legal or regal leader, but they're a little bit more self-oriented. And
Mm.
so Aquarius is the whole of all of humanity, and Leo's a little bit more pulled in to their own personal expression. Whereas Aquarius is like, I love who I am, but I'm really here to help everybody, right? So they're more expanded outwards. So
Yeah.
you're moving from a more selfish place, and I'm using the word selfish in a loving way. It's not the unhealthy aspect, but rather than thinking about just yourself, which you're very comfortable with because you've done that before, and perhaps you were even on a stage where you got a lot of personal attention for who you were. A stage meaning it could be actor, actress, but it also just could mean like you were a famous figure, right? Where people saw you and looked up to you and you performed in essence, whatever your gift was. So now you're moving away from being in the spotlight to being just a very important piece in the part of the evolution. Does that make sense?
A little bit. Like what would that entail? What kind of activities would that
To be
entail?
moving into your north node.
No, I mean, to not be in the spotlight and kind of be behind the scenes, but assist with the ascension. Did I understand that correctly? I was trying to
Yeah,
put my birth chart in the chat over here. Yeah, my it looks like my Leo is empty.
that's okay. It doesn't matter that it's empty.
Okay.
It still is a flavor or a theme, right? So,
I could share
so
the.
the negative side of Leo is they can throw a little temper tantrum if they don't get their way, if they don't
Mm,
get the attention that or the affirmation that they are looking for from others. And
yeah, that's not me.
Aquarius is very they don't care if other people are going to give them, credit.
Yes. And that's not always a good thing.
Well, it is and it isn't. It has its
Right.
value. It just depends on where you're putting it and if you're using it to its highest expression or not. Yep. So it's just up at the top left, the second little pie wheel on the left from the top is your north node and Mars. And the squiggly lines is the symbol for Aquarius on the outer
Hmm.
wheel. And then that there, the upside down red horseshoe is Leo opposite.
Right.
Mhm. And Leo is in your chart, Leo is in the fifth house, which is the house it rules, which rules children. It rules creativity, your hobbies, the things you do for fun, which it includes fun, like one night days of sex or whatever. It's not commitment sex, it's like fun sex. And then it rules recreation because that's something we do for fun. So it's all that. So that is also an explanation of Leo. Leo likes to have fun. So, for example, maybe you're trying to learn how to have less priority for fun in your life and more priority towards doing something for the outer world. Um, I don't know.
Um,
Did you have children?
yes. Very good with children. Um, and don't have any grandkids, which is a little crazy. But what are these right here?
Oh, so those boulder lines are
Uh-huh.
called your angles, and on the left side is your rising sign. So it's the beginning of the first house, which is kind of your personality, that part of you that you show the world when you
Hmm.
first meet somebody. It's how you express yourself into the world. So it's actually almost more important than your sun sign. Is your rising sign is Aries, which is ruled by Mars, which is why you said you're just kind of the go get 'em type of person. And what do you have there? It looks like Black Moon Lilith in Aries. That we're not going to talk about that because that's a little bit mythical. And
I've heard that somebody asked me that the other day, and I'd never heard of a Lilith sign until the other day, and I forgot
it's
what
not
they.
a sign. Black Moon Lilith is an asteroid, but they name them and there's a mythology. Like Lilith is a character in the Bible. She was
Hmm.
actually Adam's first wife, and there's a whole story about it all before Eve came along. But so Lilith has the qualities, this asteroid in your chart has the qualities of that mythological story. It's basically a wound, a place in our being where we feel like we got left out and people didn't accept us for who we were, which is also
Mm,
very Aquarian, that it's that same um, sense of I'm showing up authentically and I expect you to, receive me. And in Lilith's story, she wasn't received for who she was. She was
right,
cast
because
away.
she wasn't obedient.
Well, she was obedient to herself.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard. Why she was Adam's first wife, but she refused to be obedient to Adam. Did I have that right?
That's about right. Yeah. Yeah. That's about right.
Nobody
Uh,
should be obedient to anybody else, in my
Yeah, so she
opinion.
was
Male.
cast out. So she's a warrior goddess who is a little bit angry, has a chip on her shoulder about being cast out. So it shows up in our lives anytime that we're not received by a group or family or for you it's in your first house
Mhm.
of your personality of who you are. So maybe you got a little bit of flack for being too forward, too direct, too maybe your parents didn't like that you would take action before you asked for permission because that's what Mars and that Aries does is it just acts from instinct, right? It doesn't need anybody to tell it what to do or give it permission. It just wants to go.
Mm-hmm.
With the patriarchy, that's not always acceptable, so
Right.
anyway, that could be your Lilith wound, for example. And you had
Yes.
asked about the angles, and so that first angle on the left is the one we're talking about for your rising sign, and the one exactly opposite on the right is your descendant, and that is, you've got the sign there of Libra, and that is your seventh house of where you engage with others. So that's relationship, right? And so that's beautiful because the way your chart is lined up, you actually are almost exactly. So, like the very first sign of the zodiac is Aries, and your first house is Aries, and the seventh sign of the zodiac is Libra, and your seventh house is Libra. Not everybody has that. Like my rising sign is Virgo, and I have Pisces in the seventh house. So everybody's is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yours just happens to line up almost exactly with the signs that rule those houses,
Oh, just in
which
the first or the last or in all of them?
in all of them, yeah, they're all lined up pretty good.
Oh, so Taurus is in the second house,
Yeah,
Gemini in the third, like that?
yep. And Cancer rules the fourth, and it's at the bottom. So that was the bottom bold line is your fourth house of home. It's oftentimes the home that you have now, how you feel at home in your own body, and then it's also the home life that you had as a child, um, the environment that your mother and father were making for you there. So there's a safety factor. You can kind of read and tell what people's home life might have been like. Yours doesn't have any planets in it. Um, and your moon sign, where's your moon?
Can you tell what my moon is also Aries. My moon and my rising is Aries.
Oh, maybe that's the moon. I thought that was Black Moon Lilith. It's so
Yeah.
small. Sorry. Yeah. Is that your moon? Oh,
Yes.
okay. So
Where's the is the Lilith?
Black Moon Lilith looks just like the moon, only it's colored in solid, and it might not be on this chart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't really see it. It's just small enough that I thought that that was Black Moon Lilith.
Yeah, I did one the other day and it said the Lilith sign. One of my friends had sent it to me in a Facebook Messenger chat or something like that. But yeah, rising sign. What? Okay, so this right here is my moon, but where's the rising?
It's the black line, so it's still Aries.
Oh, this right
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So your midheaven is Capricorn at the very, very top, where the arrow's pointing up. Looks like it's a green. Yeah, that one. That's Capricorn, and Capricorn rules that area of the chart. So to me, it's strong. You have a very strong self-supporting chart in that sense. All your angles are in their preferred signs, right? And again, not everybody has that. So that in itself is a little bit of support for you. Gives your character a lot of ease and blessings, believe it or not.
oh, yeah. I
So,
feel go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say, so right now, transiting Mars is in Cancer, down there at the bottom of your chart, and it's actually squaring your moon. Square is a term we use for it's at a hard angle aspect that causes a little bit of tension and challenge. And because it's your moon, that's kind of your emotional body. So you may be feeling a little agitated, not supported. Things aren't going forward the way you want them to, because that would be the Mars energy. Mars is retrograde. So I'm just pointing it out that you're feeling a little bit more emotional tension than the average person from this Mars retrograde because it's in that hard aspect to your moon.
Whoa.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that'll be happening, I do want to say, for about 4 more weeks. It's going to get better on the 23rd of this month. Mars goes direct, but it has to move all the way back through Cancer before you're out of that tension stuff.
Hmm.
So,
Wow. Okay. So can you see what I should be working on? I mean, I'm supposed to be helping with this ascension. right? This change that humanity is going through right now.
You are, and I can already tell that you've been on that path. So the specific area of your chart where your north node is, the little pie wheel that's there, kind of governs the hopes and dreams, and also groups, like online groups. I'm just saying that because exactly like this podcast, but you might want to expand out into more collaboration where you're working with more creators towards, like, maybe you've seen online, what do they call them? Well, anyway, they have a whole bunch of speakers and a whole bunch of topics, a summit. Yeah.
Okay.
So where you're working with groups of people, not just one on one like this.
I've been getting the thought of like having a group where we could all like collaborate like once or twice a week virtually on the channel.
Yeah.
Does that, I mean, I've had that thought like several times.
Yeah. I'm looking at the degrees. Because Mars is there, it might be that you might be the inspirational idea person, or maybe you're a person who takes action to either get it started, or maybe the group itself gives you some kind of task like, okay, look, Shauna, we want you to be the person to make the calls on this. We want you to be the person to write out the rough draft of how this is going to go. And I'm just saying that because Aries is that go get 'em energy. And so that's one of your superpowers. And so within the group, I think that it's important that you utilize that gift, right? You're not afraid of a lot of things, whereas some other people, might step back and go, "Oh, I'm nervous about that. I have to sit on it for a minute." You can just kind of go,
Yeah.
right? So again, that is a superpower.
Yeah, it's gotten me in trouble too. Not
It's
being.
okay. You just need to be around the right people that really love it.
Yeah. How do you find those people? Um,
Just call it in. Just call it in, girlfriend.
call it in like through meditation
Yeah,
or.
meditation, say prayers to your guides, say, you know what, I'm ready for that tribe that's going to support me for all the gifts and talents I have. Part of it is releasing your own self judgment because you have been judged harshly your whole life for being that way. And there is an aspect of you, as we all have, that then begins to judge ourselves because we want to like censor ourselves, right? And we're moving into this place with Pluto and Aquarius now where we don't have to censor ourselves. Hopefully we'll all move to this place where we can accept people for who they are and see the good in them, even though we might think that it's irritating. The reality is I'm only irritated because I wish I could do that. You know what I mean? But
Mm,
the beauty is it's a superpower, and you have a superpower just like I have one. You don't have the ones I have.
mhm.
And so it's about noticing everybody's strengths and saying, let's put you in the right job because you can do this. You know how to take action, or you even know how to tell people or teach people how to take action. Yeah.
What does it say? Like, is there anything financial in people's charts?
Yes. There's several areas of the chart that rule money. And you know what? Right now, the way that I'm seeing it, it's so small. I'm like,
Okay. Yeah, let me see if I can.
we should just get together and do a chart reading. But yes, there are places that
Let
talk
me see.
about money.
I could
And
make
again,
it bigger, but then I would have to like scroll up and down. You
okay.
know what I mean?
Yep.
So does that help at all? And I
Uh-huh.
have like, oh, there we go. Sun, moon, I don't see a Lilith on here anywhere. Just has all the signs, north node, retrograde, sun, moon, and then all the signs, all the planets. Yeah, that's all this one has. So what were you looking for? Like the top half or the bottom half?
Well, so the bottom half where we are, we see Aries in the red, and the very next sign down, if we're going counterclockwise, is there's a circle with a little squiggle, and that's actually Taurus. It's a bullhead upside down. Do you see that on the left?
Hmm.
I will.
Yeah.
And that rules your second house, which is your resources. And Taurus is also at home, right? The second house. It's ruled by Venus. So it's those things that we value, the things we love. That could be art, that can be the kind of quality of house furnishings we have, it can be the type of friends we have. It's about really having a value for something. And that oftentimes is our job and our money because, if you want certain kind of lifestyle, you're going to have a certain kind of job so you can live that lifestyle, or you're going to be driven to have that. Taurus is an earth sign. It's very slow moving. Has a lot of patience, sometimes slow to make decisions because it wants to really make sure that it's making the right choice.
It looks like it's right on the line there, like right over the line. 'Cause that doesn't sound like me, really. Slow moving and patience, and none of that really sounds like me. But I
So
have a
I'm not describing you. I'm describing your money, your money.
oh, okay, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha.
And if that were your moon sign or your sun sign or your rising sign, it would be more of a personal description, but it's really just that area of your house. You also have Saturn in Taurus, if I'm reading that right.
Yes, let
Yeah,
me.
29 degrees of Taurus. And Saturn is a planet of
Yeah.
restriction. So you're learning lessons in money, and there's a little karma that you're dealing with. Yeah, so that's partly what, if you're having questions or struggles, I don't know your story, but that could be part of it, and that's okay because Saturn wants us to not cut steps. It wants us to take the steps that are needed to become really good at what it is we're trying to do. Right? Yours is in your second house of resources and values. It could also involve relationships because that house is ruled by Venus. So sometimes different houses kind of merge and talk to each other. It's like a harmonic chord that's being struck between different places that are similar.
Yeah, so it says there's difficulty, and maybe relationships might have a part to play here or there in the money difficulties, right?
Yeah, but it's never something that you can't overcome. If you know that maybe it takes a little bit more work for you to break through to the other side, you just know that about yourself and your life and you just do it, right? And actually, it's been that way your whole life. So you're used to having this pushback, you're used to having this restriction. Someone
Mm,
else might not be used to it. And so you naturally are a little bit able to just push through those hard barriers than someone who's never had to do that before. Does that make
gotcha.
sense?
Yes, I'm used to it, but I still don't like it, and I still feel the immense resistance, and I still
And
doesn't.
the beautiful thing is that once you know that is, it's kind of like a genetic blueprint. Once you know that you have that in your genes, because that's what you were born with, rather than judging it and being pissed at it, you can just be like, well, this is just how it is. And I am here to push through that. And rather than thinking it's like that person is stopping me or that company is stopping me or that rule is stopping me, because we oftentimes project our Saturn authority onto other things. Know that it's just you, and it might be inner sabotage, it might be inner
Mhm.
fear, and it's an opportunity to kind of like work through all of this inner shadow, um, and it's karma. So sometimes you're attracting experiences and people who karmically you're supposed to finish something with them. And if you just kind of notice where the resistance is, it's like, oh, this is happening again. It's a Saturn thing. You know what I mean? Rather than judging yourself and getting down on yourself, it's more like you can pull back into the bird's eye view and sort of see it from a different perspective.
So this is kind of like there might be like karmic things that need to be resolved. I'm telling you, this is like so difficult. All right.
And there's another reason why you're having some difficulty right now, Shauna. And if we look over to the right of this bottom of the chart, and there's a sign that says 27 next to it. That's Pluto.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's Pluto in the sign of Virgo. And right now, the south node that is transiting is at 27 of Virgo. And the south node, again, we talked about this is not your south node, but the transiting south node right now for everybody is at 27 of Virgo. And so you're being asked right now to transform. That's what Pluto does. It's a death and rebirth sign. So it's asking you to really transform a shadow part of you or a bad habit part of you. And this is in the area of your daily activities. Okay. And that would include, your health regime, your meditation regime. What do you eat? Your hygiene. It might be, is your house chaotic or is it organized? Virgo likes to perfect and pay attention to all the details. So you're being asked right now at that South Node to really let go of any overcritical, over analyzing, well, areas in that area of your chart. So how does
Let
that
go of any crit. Let me a minute. Let go
you
of
have
any.
self-criticism? Are you criticizing others or the way your work is happening or your daily, are you bored with your daily life? Like every day I wake up and it's the same thing. I do XYZ. Or is there something you're aware of that you need to change in order to up level?
Yeah, I'm like in a very stuck energy and situation, and don't know how to get out of it. If that makes sense.
Sure. And do you have practices that you do now to that have helped you get out of situations in the past? Like, do you have a meditation practice or a yoga or an alchemy practice, or maybe you have a healer that you go to? I don't know.
No, and it's like I'll do some of these things sometimes, but there's not a routine.
Okay. So that's number one is to me, that just speaks to you need to have a routine. Where's your routine? Where's the discipline for the routine? I'm a strong believer in sticky notes because we're so much ADD right now. Like we have this great idea, I'm going to do that tomorrow, and then we completely forget. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just a small little tidbit of what's helped me in the past is I write sticky notes. Now, granted, I live by myself, so I can, decorate my house with this weird stuff. But I just put up a sticky note wherever I know I'm going to see it, on the bathroom mirror, on the refrigerator, on my desk. And it might say, remember to breathe slowly, ground yourself, whatever it is that you need to be reminded of. What's the practice that you want to do? You can even set a timer on your phone if you want it to happen at certain times of the day. But the South Node is asking you to let go of a bad habit. Sometimes the bad habit is not having a habit, right? Being
Okay.
wishy washy. Virgo is a disciplined sign. It is health. And when I say health oriented, it's very interested in, because it's an earth sign, in alternative health, in herbs and homeopathy, in eating organic food, because it's an earth sign. So maybe those things will assist in this process that you're going through right now. And the south node on your Pluto is only going to be for about a month. It's going to be moving. So take advantage of this opportunity, right? If you know people who do good guided visualizations for transformation where it's like healing, you're doing a guided visualization to change or move some energy or whatever, that is part of the Pluto realm. So that would help you transform.
A guided meditation
Mm.
or visualization, or are they the same thing?
To me, a guided visualization is sort of taking you on an inner journey for the purpose of gaining information, like whether you're meeting your spirit guides, whether you're meeting a spirit animal. Maybe you're asking for information about where did you get this programming, this belief system, this behavior from? Is it not mine? It's my mom's, and it came from my lineage 3 generations back. Like there's different ways to go and look at that imaginational world, our inner world. So generally, someone who's guiding you on a visualization is a little bit psychic and they know how to move through that. There's lots of general guided visualizations on YouTube. I would just probably type in transformational guided visualization.
Yeah. What is a Blu-ray Earth Soul?
So, Blu-ray is a term for a type of soul that is a star seed. And there's lots
Right.
of different generations or vibrational tones of those souls, right? Blu-ray is just one. There's a crystalline, there's the indigo. Some of us have heard about indigo children. They came out in the 90s, then the crystallines came out in the 2000s. I think we're in rainbow children now. But anyway, you and I came from the earlier generations of star seeds that came through. Star seeds, again, is a general broad term for souls that came onto the planet from other star systems like the Pleiades, Lemuria, the Lyrians, maybe the Sumerians. There's a quite a few. I don't specifically resonate with any one because I feel like my soul has collaborated with many different star systems through the history of my soul's lifetimes. And so at some point you just kind of merge, like you're a hybrid, if that's.
Are those star systems also in the third dimension, or can they be in different dimensions?
They're in higher dimensions, yeah. They're more
Mm.
advanced, higher vibrational. I want to call them beings, but they might even be consciousnesses, not necessarily beings, right? The English language doesn't really have the right descriptions for some of these concepts. But for a starseed, the symptoms that they have is they feel like they don't really belong here. Like, these people don't get me. I don't get how this place works. What am I doing here? How am I going to make it through? Like, I feel completely alone. And part of that is the wound of like not being with your star family, the people that you resonate with, right?
Mhm.
And the purpose for star seeds coming in, we as souls decided to come in to help the ascension, because the trajectory that the earth and humans were on would eventually destroy the earth. And many beings are devoted to saving Mother Earth because it's an amazing, beautiful planet.
Oh
It's
my
like the only
goodness,
one of its
yes.
kind, right?
Yes.
And so in a sense, star seeds came in to infiltrate our vibration into the genetics, and then also just to be like beacons of light on the planet, having a vibration change. And through osmosis and
Mhm.
in catalyst light, we just kind of change the vibration of the place, right?
I've always been mostly confident that we were not doing very well as a whole, as a collective, on the path that we were going down. I feel like we've just very recently were on the edge, getting ready to fall off, and then caught our footing and got back off the cliff. You know what I mean? And we're
Yeah.
still like a little shaken up, and we've still got to settle and calm down and get our footing again. But I feel like we're on it was touch and go there for a while, but I feel like we're on a very good trajectory right now. We're just at the very beginning of coming out on the other side.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
making sense? Am I explaining that right?
You are, yeah. I mean, I do feel that we're already doing this, right? A lot of people are
Uh-huh.
like, when's it going to show up? But I'm like, it has already shown up. I
Oh my
see it
gosh.
so often. It's really important to notice all the good news and the good stuff and the new inventions and the beautiful, heartfelt interactions that we miss in the news, right? You got to look harder for those beautiful things. We really are already doing it. The trajectory has been started, and people you're in my age, we've been, I'm going to use the term loosely, awake. We've been aware for, I don't know, I'm going to say 20 years, but I don't know how about you, but and that's been getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And now there's a population of people who are more aware. And our job is to hold space and to be the cheerleaders and the coaches and the mentors and the back patters, like, you got this, it's okay, to the
Mhm.
people who are just now waking up, and they're freaking out a little bit because their whole world, our awakening, I feel like, happened slow. I want to say
Mhm.
mine happened over about, 15 years. And I was like, man, this is taking forever. I'm like,
Right.
be old by the time this. And I've talked to people who literally are waking up in like 3 months. And I can't even imagine how stressful and hard that is to the nervous system and the psyche. Like, to go from living your life with an understanding one day, and 3 months later, you're like, holy shit, like, I got spirit guides talking to me and I'm over here doing this and I don't want to do my job anymore, like, and their families probably saying, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
grateful that mine was slow and divine timing. Like, everybody has the plan already laid out. Some of us were supposed to be the slow path breakers, right? And some of us were supposed to, in divine timing, wake up now. Some of us are going to wake up next year. Like, it's all in
Yeah.
divine timing. dreaming. And it comes to where you just have to trust that. But I'm not quite sure why I got on that
I
tangent, but
feel like I feel like I came in awake. And I say that because I've always felt like I don't belong. I'm what's called the truth teller, and that didn't go over very well growing up in my family. You know what I mean? Because I've always been able to see the truth, and my problem is I speak it immediately, which is not. I need to learn how to keep it to myself sometimes, but I'm always see the truth. And I have been saying things for years, for a very long time. And it's like eventually, sooner or later, sometimes very quickly, sometimes it takes a long time, I'll even start to doubt myself. And then what I've been saying for however long it is actually comes true. And I'm like, why did I even doubt myself? See, I told you guys, look, it's all coming. You know what I mean? Like I'll be ostracized for what I'm saying, but then sooner or later it comes true.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well, hopefully in your wise years, now you're learning how to not doubt yourself and to affirm and give credit to yourself in the moment. Even though you're not quite sure when it's going to come to fruition or how, but you have like a certain amount of particulars, right? An inner feeling, whatever. But then you can help other people who have that as well and have not been understood. Because really, it takes peers. We need to have people who can resonate with our thing. We all have ups and downs. Like, I mean, I have low moments, right? And I
mhm.
can call on my friends. And then I have high moments where I can help them, right? It's just so important to understand that no, you never get there. You never get perfect. You
Right.
never get totally wise. You never get healed. You're just in different levels. You're going around, the circle goes like this, but you're still
Right.
going. And, we just have to realize that we have ups and downs as things are moving out of our system, being healed or regained, remembered. Sometimes we're just remembering who we are. And I was born awake too, but then I had to like turn it all off because I could not be in that family
Right.
with all of that. And thank God I did start energy work and started remembering it because I was working with my psychic space. And that
Mm.
was huge for me. That was amazing to realize that, there was a reason why I was awake. And it's in my astrology chart. I love that too. There's a reason why I was awake, and there was a reason why I needed to turn it off. And, because I learned a ton of lessons and got wounded even more. And then had to heal from it all. And here I am now. And, I know how to heal from that stuff. So, anyway, we're here, we as star seeds, and people might not resonate with that term, but they might resonate with the sense of feeling like they have a sense of wisdom that isn't described here, isn't talked about or embraced. And yet deep in your heart of hearts, you know what love is, and it's not here. It's not happening here, in the capacity that you know what love is. And the thing is now we can use discipline. We talked about discipline before, to be the master of our own frequency. So you get to choose, do I want to watch the negative news or the dark movie, which has a frequency, or do I want to purposefully choose to vibrate? Like I instantly, when I said I want to purposefully choose, like I got into my heart just now and made it bigger and brighter. And like, so you can consciously just shine your light and be that higher frequency in the moment,
Yeah.
in each
I
and every moment, in standing in line at the grocery store, you know, make it big and shine it bright. And I like to play games. I'm really kind of curious and I play around. So, like, I'll sit in my car for just a second and really power up my heart and my aura and just make it really golden bright and beautiful and happy. Walk in the grocery store, and I like to pay attention to, who sees me. And it's the little kids. The little kids see you and they're like, looking at you, and you're like, yeah, I see you too. I see your light too. And it's just kind of fun. It's nice to notice like who walks around you and doesn't even look at you and tries to avoid you because they don't want to get near your light. And then it's just kind of a fun little exercise. But the fact that we're able to, in the moment, change, we can choose to keep being mesmerized and hypnotized by, the dark movie or the dark news or the story, even a friend, if a friend comes over and they start telling you trauma, and you're like, wait. Or you can be listening, but just expand yourself into this bright light. And pretty soon you'll notice that their motivation to tell you their story has waned and they don't want to tell you that anymore. Or you might say, let's, guess what wonderful thing happened to me today? Or I'm looking forward to next week, or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
I
we
heard
just really
Dolores
have to.
Cannon
Yes.
recently. She was saying, whatever frequency you're vibrating at, the universe obeys. So if you're vibrating at a frequency of love, it's going to bring you more love. If you're vibrating at an anger frequency, it's going to bring you more anger.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's why it's important that if you notice like you're having a certain kind of frustration and resistance right now that we talked about in your chart, to not sit there in that, like to
Right.
purposefully be proactive and move it with breathing exercises, with qigong, whatever it is that helps you move energy. I do energy work, but everybody's got their thing that works for them. There's lots of ways to move energy, and it's really important to move that out so that you're not circulating in it, so you're not perpetuating it, right? Because you
Yeah.
don't want to be creating right now for a month from now. It's going to show up in your life. It's not instant. Most of us aren't that good at creating to get instant manifestation. For me, it's about
Right.
a 3 month lag.
Mhm.
So when I am angry and sad or grieving or resentful, whatever the thing is, I consciously am aware, sure, so I get caught up in it for a few hours, but then I catch myself and I'm like, wait a minute, this really isn't me. It's not my true nature. It's whatever, the programming, the hurt, the wound, the whatever. It could even be a projection, someone else's anger. And then I'm like, I don't want to create this in my life 3 months from now. So, hey, let's get this out of here. You know what I mean? It really is about being self aware. And again, the sticky notes, if you forget to come back to yourself, just use those until it becomes a habit. Because what you
Yeah, or
practice,
even reminders in your phone, like little alarms or
yeah,
whatever.
whatever you practice, you become the master of. So if you practice negativity, you're the master of that.
Mhm. Yes, I totally believe that. What is energy alchemy?
So, energy alchemy is the term that I use. So, alchemy, when you think about it, when you were in school, was turning lead into gold. Alchemy
Mm.
is changing a substance from one thing to the other. It's a chemical process. And an alchemical process for me in energy work is I can go in and like look at anger psychically and then manipulate it. I don't know. The words I might use would be magic, intention, vocation, will. I manipulate it purposefully. It's just like, say, if you were finger painting, you put all the colors on your hands and then you go, ooh. Like
Uh-huh.
I get in there and I move the energy. I change it. So, like, oh, let's take out the anger. Maybe that was my dad's programming. Maybe that was that past life thing that happened to me. I'm doing this because I'm removing the energy of it.
Or
And then I
taking
bring
the red and the blue and making purple.
yeah, and then I bring in like sparkles and I ask my higher self to come in and give it a healing and I kind of see that in gold and you can do whatever you want. You're a powerful creator and that inner
Mhm.
child knows how to play with this stuff. So it's really about letting you find the trust in yourself to just focus on the thing, no judgment. You're not bad for having it. You're not wrong. You're not weak. It's like you just focus on the thing, and your intention is to I'm not going to put up with this anymore. I'm going to see what happens if I just like, what if I add water to it? What if I put rainbows in there? What if I call back all my own energy that I lost during that memory or whatever, right? And just really see it come into alignment in its purest, highest form. And almost using those words in my intention, bring it to its purest, highest form. And I work with a lot with spirit guides. And so that instantly kind of happens like they're bringing it to the vibration of what my word just was, right?
So you guide others into helping them do that
Yeah, I
because
teach
only
people.
only
Mhm.
they can change their energy, right?
Yeah, because I don't want to be anyone's healer ever. I
Mhm.
don't want to have power over your life. Like you have power. You are a creator, but maybe you don't remember how. So I'm just offering one way, one avenue that works to open up that playful part of you that knows how to play with energy, to move it, that you are energy, and anything can be changed, even a curse, even a contract can be changed. You just have to
Ooh,
maybe be shown how. Yeah, it's very empowering to know
I
that
have a
you.
contract I'd like to change. I'm in the middle of it right now. But okay, childhood wounds and ancestor wounds. Tell
so
us how you can help with that.
so again, I do this with energy alchemy, and I like
Okay, so they're
let's.
connected.
I'm sorry.
They're connected. You do the energy alchemy to help with the childhood wounds and ancestor wounds, right?
And or it
Okay.
depends on the person's story. Whoever it is I'm working with, they come up and they're like, blah 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 is happening, and I don't know, I get messages. Like, I'm clairaudient, so when someone tells me their story, I get so much more information, and I kind of see a storyline, a movie in my head.
Uh-huh.
And so spirit says use this. It's, so I just get kind of a knowing it's ancestral from down this line. And so what I do is I guide them. We kind of go into a visualization where I'm guiding them to look at their own energy. We look at the energy of the thing that they're talking about. So let's just say, for example, what you're worried about money, or do you want to do you want to share one of your challenges right now, and we'll just see what.
So have completely isolated myself from everything and everybody I know by moving halfway across the country. And I feel like in hindsight, that was not such a great idea. But I also understand the concept of, soul contracts and things like that. So I've been having a really hard time trying to understand because now I've kind of really cut myself off from all the support and love. I cut myself off from a lot of frustrations and things that were not going the way that I wanted, but I also completely cut myself off from everything I knew. And it's like trying to figure out, did I completely disrupt my soul path, or is this part of it? And I need to figure out why and what to do with it. Does that make
This is
sense?
it's exactly part of your soul path for sure. You're always on the right path. And
Feel like there were things that I feel like in hindsight, my spirit guides and protectors and stuff like that were trying to stop me. I feel like
but
they were trying to stop me, like, don't do this, don't do this. And I just, me, Aries, I rammed right through it. I'm like, boom, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? And they're just like, oh my God, look what she did.
so I'm not going to say this is exactly for you. I'm just going to kind of bring a hypothetical up
Okay.
because we don't have time to go deep in everything. But
Right.
let's just say that in a past life, you chose to leave your family behind for the pursuit of something. And then when you got there, you suffered this deep loss of not having family or anybody you know. And there was this sense of separation, right? So every time we make a choice and we have an experience, no matter what lifetime, even this lifetime, we create a frequency or a memory frequency, right? And it's stored in us. And let's just say that you maybe judged yourself or created some personal karma about you always leave the people you love, or that you have to leave the people you love in order to get XYZ, to make XYZ happen. And so there's just this tiny little vibrating storyline in your being, even in this lifetime, right? That knows about that history. And let's just say your soul chose, I want to be done with that little storyline. So you did the exact same thing. You were stimulated to do the exact same thing. And now, but you have different awareness, you have different tools, you can choose to go, aha, I did that again. Let's unravel that. So, for example, I would guide you into seeing that original memory experience. We would do energy alchemy on it, release all of the judgment, the toxicity, the emotional attachment to it, to bring it back into wholeness, to bring it back into pure resonance of love, which is the origination of energy, right? Is just love.
Mhm.
Um, and then we bring it into the body, into the heart space, and integrate it. So that's in essence, that's part of the energy alchemy that I would do with somebody. And again, it's done through a guided visualization. So I'm just like talking to you on Zoom or whatever. We both have our eyes closed. We're both looking at the same thing energetically. And I'm just guiding you. Now do this. Now let's move it over there. Now, how does it feel? And then we change it again. Now, how does it feel? And then we change it again. And we just keep working with it and playing with it. And then at the end, of course, we integrate it into the being and call it back, right? Because it's your energy, it's your pure source. It just got a little tainted with some other crappy stuff. So
Right, right. Okay, so if someone wanted to procure your services by getting help with that, they could go to your website, right?
they could. My website is 5D, like in the fifth dimension, 5dpath.fun. And it is .fun. It's not .com. I love the power of words. And when I created my website at the time, it was like, you can name it anything you want. It doesn't have to be .com. So I was like, I'm going to
Right.
make a fun. So
Right.
anyway,
I noticed that.
hopefully that's a wave that will take off, that more people will do. And there's many different services listed there. And so just peruse, reach out to me if you want to. There's my email address is listed there. And then I'm on YouTube. I do have some guided visualizations. I oftentimes talk about astrology on YouTube. And
Oh,
I
so I can
do
go to your
interviews.
YouTube channel for a guided visualization, right?
Yeah, and the YouTube channel is 5D Path Fun as
Nice.
well. And my name is Deanna King. It might be Deanna King, 5D Path Fun.
Everything's in the description as
Yeah,
well.
everything's in the description, and I do quite a few little dialogues like this where I talk with other people who are of a higher vibration, and we just talk about how are we living our lives, because like it's a little bit weird sometimes to be living in the fifth dimension and the third dimension at the same time, and you just kind of like bouncing back and forth and trying to make it work.
Yeah, I'll give you this one as well so you can, I don't know, upload it or edit it or put whatever you want on your channel too. And everything will be in the description on my channel as well for this episode for anybody that wants to reach out. I had one more question that I wanted to ask. Are you a medium?
I am not a medium. So a medium is someone who is tapped into the spirit realm for beings that are not like in a body, beings that were human at one time that aren't in a body. So like your aunt, your uncle, your mom, whatever. And I tap into a higher realm. It's just how I'm wired. So I'm not here to be a medium. Let's just say that. I've already checked into that. I'm very curious about it, but I'm
Right.
tapped into a higher realm, and I'm giving different information. That was my part of my soul purpose.
I know we all have these gifts. Some of them are just more aware than others because it's part of their soul path. So how do you have any advice on how someone would go about finding out, or kind of, if they know that they have some clairs, like clairaudience or clairsentient or clairvoyance and all that stuff, how would one go about finding out what their particular gifts are? And
There's so many ways. I mean, obviously, you can work with another psychic or intuitive healer to get clues for you. However, it's very important to not take someone else's wisdom over your own. And we
mm,
oftentimes do that. We
mhm.
discredit our own inner knowing because we haven't been taught how to trust our inner knowing.
I feel
Um,
like Gen Xers are like that more than the generations that follow, because there was no internet back then. If somebody told you something, you had no choice. It was before Google. You couldn't
and
Google
we didn't have phones in our car either,
it.
you know.
Right. Right.
Yeah, like if we were stuck in the snow, we just had to send vibes out. Tell my husband to come in the truck, or
You're just
whatever.
like, I'm going to die. That's it. I'm going to die. That's why we're so
Um,
tough.
but there's lots of classes that help us to get back in touch with that inner intuition, the inner knowing, to meet your highest guide, your highest self. To I use kinesiology as well, or muscle testing. Do you know
Oh,
what that
what's
is?
that? No.
Some people do it like this with their fingers, and so your body has an innate wisdom, and it'll be strong for something that's good and positive in alignment, and it'll be weak for something that's not. So sometimes, like a chiropractor does it, and they'll put your arm out straight.
Uh-huh.
That's kinesiology, but when you do it for yourself, you can't do the arm thing, right? So you just hold your fingers and you might say, well, I always make sure I'm really grounded. I ground myself very hard into the earth because I'm pulling up some of that earth wisdom to talk to my body and give me these answers. And
Mhm.
then I connect into my higher self. And I always say, am I connected to my highest wisdom? I don't want to get anybody out there who's willing to give me wisdom. I want my highest wisdom to come in. So that's an intentional ask, which is really important because there's so many beings out there who are being channeled, and you don't want any channel. You want your highest wisdom. You need to be really picky. I'm just saying that out loud. Like, don't just take
Like
anything that
your
comes.
oversoul.
Yeah. So anyway, I say, show me a yes, and the yes is strong. So I'm pulling with my fingers, and I can't break it. It's strong. Show me a no, and my fingers just slide through.
Mm.
And you can test it over and over again. You can say, my name is Deanna. Yes. My name is Marge. No. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
try to get your answers. And then you can use that as a tool. Now, granted, if you have doubt, if you have self doubt, sometimes you can sabotage yourself. Like, you might get conflicting answers. And if I get conflicting answers, I just know I'm not completely grounded, or that there's maybe a
Is that
program.
yours?
Yeah, that's,
Look, my cat was like, "You have another cat here?"
yeah.
I swear, I so resonate with cats big time. Like all the whole cat family, from leopards to savannas, and yeah.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And the Lyrians are a cat race. I
I
can tell you.
heard, is that what they are? I heard about a race that are like cat-like people. I've
Yeah,
got to have some of that DNA in me, I swear.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And my daughter, my middle child, yeah, I feel like a
yeah. And the Syrians are a dog race. So when we have our 8-8 portal, the Lion's Gate, which
yes.
is a cat, incidentally, but
Yeah.
the Lion's Gate portal is when the Earth is lining up with Sirius, the star
I
Sirius. And
just realized.
the Syrians came here to assist us. So every time you see a dog, man's best friend, like they're here from that vibrational realm to help humanity. And I think cats are too. I mean, I think all pets are spirit guides on some level, but
Yes.
and we can have contracts with them. But like, I'm okay. I love animals, but I'm not like, I don't have to have a ton of animals. But animals love me, and I've just noticed, that they
Yes.
gravitate to me, and they might like not like the person next to me. They want me to pet them or sniff, or whatever. And I have never understood why they like me, but now I'm starting to go, well, it's probably because I have a certain vibration,
Uh-huh.
that they recognize.
Or
Maybe
maybe
they're
they
saying, "Hi."
recognize some of that DNA in you too.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
might be that
And
too.
I'm a Leo, so I feel like I'm really tied into Lyrians, and I also resonate strongly with the sun. And there are beings, galactic beings, that come from suns, and so, part
You
of
know
me
what's
is,
wild? When you were talking about the 8-8 portal, that is my son's birthday, August 8th.
oh, that is so beautiful. Yeah, and that's huge energy for healing too. You might put that on your calendar for this next August.
Mm.
Things, Shauna, that I want to discuss before we leave today is, in the beginning, we talked briefly about the book that I published 2 years ago. And
Yes.
part of my soul's purpose and passion is to teach people, like we talked about, tools that they can use to heal themselves and to find their own inner wisdom. And so the book that I wrote is called Bringing Ceremony Home. And it's a simple do it yourself manual about how to use ceremony as a change agent, because when you learn how to build a ceremonial space, it's modeled after the sacred circle or the medicine wheel, and it uses the four directions. And you're learning how to invoke spirit in this book, how to create the sacred circle, how to hold space, and then how to invite, like in the terms of manifestation, you can co create with spirit and say, I'm calling in a new house, I'm calling in a new job, whatever it is.
Like
Uh,
manifest?
it's a way to manifest for yourself, but even if you didn't use it for manifestation, you can call in a healing for a friend or a family member.
Mm.
But you're collaborating with spirit, and I think a lot of us have lost touch with our ability to be in um, sacred relationship with our spirit helpers. And we all have such a breadth of indigenous ancestry, right? On some level, we know how to do ceremony.
Mhm.
And so
I
it's
mean,
this,
everything is about ceremony, really.
it is.
I mean, even just, I mean, look at the Catholic Church. That's all about ceremonies
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
So I just wrote, it's a very short little do it yourself manual about how to do ceremony at home, and to get you back in touch again with that inner child and that playful nature and creating the thing and talking with spirit. And you can, there's lots of examples in there for to use it with. And then you just take it and you run with it and do what you wish, like everybody's their own creator. You might be inspired to make it this way and someone else is inspired to make it that way. And that's all fine. It's just a foundational starting point. So
Is
I
there
do want to talk about the book.
is there a link that folks can go to order the book with?
It is available on Amazon,
Okay, so
bringing
that link
ceremony
will be in
home.
the description as well.
Mhm. You can find it on my website, but it will just take you to the link on Amazon because I'm not
Okay,
selling. Yeah.
perfect.
Um, and what else do I want to talk about? I guess I can't remember. It's gone.
So your book, the services that you offer that you can help folks with is also on your website. The energy alchemy, um, the soul path mission to raise vibration for humanity and the earth, and astrology too. Do you
Yeah.
do birth charts or do you use that as part of?
I use it for everything else. All of my clients, pretty much, I do a chart on because it helps me to really understand them and where they're at. And sometimes it helps them understand. They don't always have to, unless they want to know about the chart, but it helps me when I'm working with them because
Gotcha.
then I have a little bit of an inkling of like their sun sign, their moon sign, their rising sign, their wounds, their karma, you know. Um,
Yes.
so anyway, I always use the astrology for my own personal because it helps me have the foundational background for this person, because I'm just meeting them in the moment and we're working together. I do work with a few clients long term, and that's super, super fun because we can go really deep into a focused intention for their soul path. And that's another thing that we didn't really get to about star seeds is we feel like we came here to do something. And there's this kind of ambiguous anxiety that like I should be doing this and I don't know what it is, and the clock is ticking and time's wasting and I haven't done it yet, dang it, and I just know I'm here for some reason. So that's
Yeah.
a huge speak to you from spirit to keep you searching, to keep you growing, to keep you looking for how it is that you're going to be offering something, what you're doing here on the planet.
Have you ever thought of combining forces with other readers as well?
Sure. Sure, I'd love to collaborate. Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe you have your own thing, but then also have different tarot card readers and soul path readers and astrologers and stuff like that. Maybe this is I'm like a really strong visionary, so I just come up with these ideas constantly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a strong visionary too. I love it. And again, we're moving away from competition. Competition is more of a capital
Right.
energy. And now that we have Pluto and Aquarius, we're all moving towards this let's help each other. So there really is no competition. Like I don't care to
I
work
never
the
did like competition. I
Yeah,
never
I'm
did.
not worried about working with other healers, other psychics, other astrologers. Like we all have a very special gift in any of those areas. like another astrologer is not going to do exactly what I do. She's not going to use the words that
Right.
I use because I have a certain resonance. She has a certain resonance, and I'm here to speak to a certain person, and she's here to speak to a certain person. There's 8 billion people on the planet. There's plenty of people. It's like,
Yeah.
you know,
So,
yeah.
yeah. So, like, I was thinking, like, well, you were talking about a summit earlier where there's like different people speaking on different things. We could make
Yeah.
like a summit of, different astrologers and readers and coaches and things like that on this particular life path thing.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. And I feel like that's also partly the divine feminine energy that's on the planet because it's more of a masculine trait to be in competition, right? And the
Yes.
divine feminine realizes there's more than enough for everybody. And
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Maybe that's why they've tried to suppress us because they're in that competition. They feel like they
Well,
can't.
they have tried to suppress us, but it was all there's no blame, there's no victim
Right.
because the pendulum had to swing to where it swung
Uh-huh.
and so that it
And
could
now
swing back.
I've said that before too.
Yeah.
That's so weird that you're describing it that way. I've said the pendulum swung up here and now it's coming back. To describe more than just that, to describe lots of things going on. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
um,
and I know a lot of people are really heavily impacted by the politics in the United States right now. But I still believe I'm an optimist, I'm a visionary. I'm like, there's a lesson in this.
oh yeah.
There's it's
That's
not over till the
another
fat lady sings,
situation where the
like
pendulum swung way too out of control and it's coming back now.
yeah. Yeah. And we're all learning so much about ourselves and about what we really are willing. It's one thing to say, I believe in this, and it's another thing to say, I am no longer putting up with this and I'm taking action now.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
So you can't take action on the global scale. You can't take action on the country scale. You can take action in your community, in your own house, in your own body. You can be I'm governing my own body. My vibration is so fabulous and nobody can change it unless I decide to let them. If I want to be a victim, I can let them change my energy. But
And
uh,
and really importantly, being the example can be have so much more power than people realize because you have no idea how many people are just too afraid to come out of their shell until they see somebody else be the example and they're like, you know what, okay, I'm gonna do that too. And be the example, or another way to describe this would be the change you want to see,
yeah, yeah,
because once you are that change, other people can start to, you know what, yeah, I
yeah,
feel that way too.
yeah, for sure. Good.
So I want to thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah.
And
Thank you, Joanna.
you're welcome. So I have two questions that I like to ask all my guests at the end of every episode. And the first one is, what is the meaning of life to
Oh,
you?
gosh.
I know it's pretty heavy.
In one sentence?
Well, not necessarily.
What is the meaning of life? Not quite sure which
Or
avenue
how
to go.
how do you define the meaning of life? What is the meaning of life according to Deanna King?
Well, the meaning of my life, I'll just say that. The meaning of my life was to become aware of who I am. And I'm still becoming aware of who I am. But I feel like I know like 80%. That's pretty damn good. Because I didn't know, again, I chose to forget, right, in
Mhm.
the early childhood years. But remembering me over and over again, validating me over and over and again, giving myself credit, for me on my personal journey, it's not about someone else defining me or even a culture defining me or a job defining me. It's about how do I define myself and then moving from that place forward. And being on this planet Earth is such a beautiful blessing. Time and time again, I have to be reminded because it's so beautiful visually, right? And I'm pretty much always blessed with these great views. I choose to live in those places with great views, nature, clean skies, quiet air, healthy air. You know, this planet just has so much sensational variety. You know, we have the textures, we have the tastes, we have the smells, we have the sounds and the colors. It's, to me, that's a high. That's what the meaning of life is, to really enjoy being in your body and all of these things that we have on this planet.
Yeah, I think this body is how we connect to this planet. I've said for many, many years is that these bodies don't really belong to us. They belong to the planet. That's why we have to leave them here when we go, because they really belong to Mother Earth. They're materials from her. And we're just, using it as a vessel, like getting in a car and driving it, but you have to park it eventually and get out, right?
Mhm. Nice. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. And the second question is, if you could leave our listeners and viewers with a piece of profound advice, potentially life changing, what would that be?
My advice to you is to question everything,
Yeah.
right? If you question it, you're not taking it as your own truth. You're in that moment of sensing, is that true for me? And then you get to decide, is it is true for you, or maybe part of it's true for me. But question everything. Everything you hear, even what you see, what you think you know, because what you knew 10 years ago, very different than what you know now, right? So don't let yourself crystallize into something hard. Question everything. That's kind of a flowing, watery, feminine energy.
Yeah, when you question everything, that's how you identify things and learn and kind of become aware, right? Question everything. Awareness.
And to me, it's about curiosity. Questioning is a curious energy. And I'm I'm the Leo, and Leos are curious
And
by nature.
curious is how you learn, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I learn.
Yeah, love it. Okay. Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show and for all the ways to get a hold of Deanna, guys. All her links and link to her book and her socials and her YouTube channel and stuff are all in the description. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Shauna. Bye, everybody.
Bye.